and welcome to the Melbourne AWS user group for January 2026, meetup number 155. That's a big number. All right, where are we? That'd be right, my phone just went there. User group would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and the community. We pay our respects to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures and to their elders past and present. All right, so it is me again, unfortunately. You're stuck with me chairing tonight. I will hand over to Stephen as quickly as possible so that we can actually get on to the interesting bit of the evening. Starting off with the housekeeping, we have a code of conduct, the TLDR of which you should all know by now. Be nice to each other, don't be dicks, you know. The full code of conduct is available on the website. If you do have any concerns with anything that's said, done before, during, after this evening's session, come and talk to myself, Rob or Jason at the back of the room, or reach out to us on the website. There is a form and we'll see what we can do. All right, we are also available on the web. Hello to those of you watching on the onlines. LinkedIn and YouTube are our major places. We did do the Mastodon thing for a while. That isn't so much a thing anymore. If you would like to see us on a new platform, I've been told we need to get on Blue Sky. Let us know, we'll look into it. Apparently the cool people are on Blue Sky, but I don't know. Right, so tonight is a really quick and easy one. I've cancelled the What's New because I broke it, so we'll just ignore that one doesn't exist. Moral of the story is don't dev in prod. Or all of your slides just talk about the New Zealand region. Oopsies. So we'll do introductions, I'll do the quick walkthrough, and then I will hand over to the wonderful team who are going to talk to us about the reInvent recap. They've got way more interesting content than I do anyway, so all is well there. We'll then do the standard marketplace and close out the evening at 8 o'clock, and you can all go home, hopefully. If you have any questions in the meantime, Slack, or for those of you watching online in the chat, we'll make sure that it's raised with the panel this evening. And wouldn't be an evening if we didn't thank our sponsors. So thank you, my employer, Mantel Group, for your continued support for another year, and to our silver sponsor, Sivo. We'd also like to call out and thank NAB for the venue for another year. So thank you very much to our partners for enabling us to put on these sorts of events throughout the course of the year. As I've said numerous times, Slack. Join the Slack channel, join the Slacker group if you are not already on Slack. Announcements, jobs, opportunities to volunteer, help run these sorts of events, all available on there. And get involved. We've got a lot more people volunteering and helping out with certain things. It is good to see. If you would like to get involved, if you would like to come up and be a speaker, if you would like to come and simply, help put out the chairs, organise the food and drink, anything like that, again, come and see one of the organisers. We'd be more than happy to take the help. Again, sponsors, if you would like to give me lots of monies, if your business or your company or your employer has too much monies, I am more than happy to take them. We are a volunteer organisation, so the drinks, the food, all of those sorts of things need to come from somewhere. So if you are looking to get your name up on the slides every month, please feel free to come and talk to me, and I'll give you the prospectus and all the wonderful details. And talking of community, got a couple of community updates for people. This one's a fair way off, but save the date. 15th of October 2026 is the AWS Community Day up in Brisbane. Was a huge success last year. I think we had 300 people there last year, and we're shooting for more this year. Call for speakers will open soon. Exact date is to be defined. So if you're sitting there going, I want to talk at that, I want to be a presenter, we will let you know as a part of the meetup when that becomes available. I think we push and hold. There you go. We will make sure to call out both at the meetup and on the Slack community when the calls for RFPs and all that sort of stuff go out. We'll also at some stage do a call out for volunteers and all of those sorts of things. So again, way to give back to the community. Keep the date open. Talking a lot more local is the Programmable Melbourne, 17th of March at Melbourne Convention and Exhibition Centre. I actually have to apologise to Dale on this one. I meant to reach out to you the other day about your thing and accidentally messaged Dale on another Slack group, and then today was trying to work out why you didn't reply to me, and it turns out because I never actually sent you the message. So that one's on me. But yes, so 17th of March, Convention Centre, it's a wonderful event. It's only been going a couple of years now, but it's really leaps and bounds since their first one, I think, which was back in 22 or 23, one of those, I can't remember. Also, the AWS Melbourne Well Architected, they have their first meetup on Wednesday, the 11th of February, level 13 at 555 Collins Street, so the AWS office up there. Also at AWS, but the week earlier, is the Kubernetes AI Australia, we do a little bit of everything meetup. This one's on level 12 though, not level 13, something a little bit different. Wednesday, the 4th of Feb, starting at 5:30. We also have a little bit off the beaten track on the Tuesday night, Infracoders, Melbourne, up at the ThoughtWorks office, 360 Collins, because apparently everything in Melbourne happens on Collins Street, except for us. We're like the one outlier. And with that, I will hand over to somebody a lot more interesting than me. Stephen, you want to come up and we can do the panel, I guess it is, isn't it?
I mean, something like that. I mean, geez, you gave me something to go on here, didn't you? He's talking me up a lot, and he set me up a lot. Now I have to worry about getting knocked back down. Right, well, first of all, thank you to everyone for coming. I will welcome up our panelists. And so, as I get this plugged in, we'll actually be able to see the nice proper pictures of their faces. So bear with me a tick here. We all know what's going to happen here. The tech is just not going to work because it is cursed. Let's see, is this going to work? Who thinks this is going to work on the first go? Anyone? Wow, you have so much faith in me. I like that the presenters down the front expected it didn't work, but guess what? It did. Congrats. All right, with that, I'll welcome up our presenters, Dale Orders, Christina Chen, and Tony Zhang. So please come on up, and we'll actually get you guys to say a bit about who you are. All right, cool. So, with that in mind, I'll give a quick introduction to myself. Hi, I'm Stephen. I'm a lead consultant with V2 AI, specializing in all things cloud, especially AWS, and artificial intelligence. On top of that, I'm an AWS community hero, and because I'm the moderator here tonight, hopefully this is the most you'll hear from me, because we have a lot more interesting people sitting here as well. So with that, I'll first of all welcome Christina. Hi, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Hey everyone, my name is Christina Chen. I'm a senior SRE working for Mentor Group. And for tonight, the topic is my first time. So it's a lot of things to share. And apart from that, I'm also a AWS community builder year 2. And yeah, if you guys are interested later on, yeah, feel free to reach out. Pass to Dale.
Awesome.
Oh, there we go. Hi, my name's Dale. I'm a software engineer at Five9, and also, like Christina, I'm a community builder. This was my second time going to reInvent, so it's interesting to be able to compare the two experiences. But yeah, I guess we'll talk about that in just a moment. With that, I'll pass to Tony.
Hey everyone. Yeah, thanks. My name's Tony, or Tones as people that work with me know me. I'm a principal DevOps engineer at Vicent, and I do a whole bunch of product operations and build and run, and working with AWS Cloud Native stuff. So yeah, I guess in my spare time I also make games. So if anyone wants to ask me about that later, happy to talk about that. But yeah, this was my first reInvent. This is also my first user group, and so yeah, first time speaking at a user group.
Here we go.
Straight into the deep end. So thanks for conscripting me, Jason.
Excellent. And as such, he has agreed that I can throw hardball questions at him. So we're going to enjoy this. All right, excellent. So with that in mind, I guess going through this evening, now I want to find out a little bit from the crowd. How many people here have had a bit of a look through some of the announcements that came out at AWS reInvent last year? Has anyone had a bit of a look through it? Here and there. Awesome. Cool. I can see Jason waving his hand down the back. He was there. He does not count. So in terms of AWS reInvent, so as a bit of context for people, AWS reInvent is a conference that AWS hold each year in December, held in Las Vegas over in the US, and it's when AWS does a lot of their biggest product releases for the year. So if you think of the most major services, big feature releases, that sort of thing, that tends to be the time when they drop them all. This year there was, I think, about 500 odd services and features dropped, so there was a lot of announcements. And unfortunately, most of the interesting ones don't really get as much airtime. Because, of course, what do AWS want to talk about? Ooh, AI, we love the AI, we love the AI. Question, who here is a little sick of hearing so much about AI? Oh, there the hands shoot up, there we go. Now, AI is, of course, very important. But the things that aren't AI quite often don't get as much airtime. So what we want to talk about tonight is some of the things that are not just AI, but the things that are important to us as builders. Things that are important to us as practical people using the technology day to day. So with this, I will get ready for us to hand over to Dale to talk about the first announcement. But when we do this, I will just show you as well with this. On the slides, we're going to have 2 QR codes. There's also...
Should we move people up so they can see?
We can move a little bit, yeah. And likewise, there's also the screens on the side as well. So if you're having a little bit of trouble seeing that, you can look over to the side. Now, for the first QR code in the middle, that one will take you to the AWS blog where it has a list of the top AWS reInvent announcements, which is just a general list of a whole bunch of the most popular announcements. If you're looking to get across what's up, that's a good place to check in. And likewise, down the bottom on each specific one, we have a link to the documentation specifically about that particular announcement. So with that, Dale, you can start talking. Tell us about the EC2 image builder auto versioning.
Okay, all right. So, so luckily here we do have an image to refresh my memory because I have no recollection of the announcement itself, but auto versioning for EC2 image builder. So this is one announcement that interested me because it seems like a fairly simple feature, but now that you're actually able to version your EC2 images, I think that certainly makes life a little bit easier if you do use this particular service. So you can see here on the screen, got an example of it being used in code. So that's CDK on the left-hand side there. And then you have on the right-hand side the actual the semantic versioning that you have to use. So it has to follow that specific specific syntax. Yeah, so I chose that very brief overview.
Yeah, and I guess for that one, like, if we're thinking about this, whenever we build, pardon me, new versions of images with Image Builder, if we're thinking about something like our semantic versioning where we have our major versions and our minor versions, I don't know about all of you, maybe this is just that I'm really a scatterbrain developer, which I know I am. I'm someone where if in the YAML file somewhere there's a thing where I have to update the version number and then commit it, I'm almost certainly going to commit it without updating the version number, then realize I've screwed up, then go back and recommit the version number afterwards. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Yeah. Okay, fair. Okay, I'm not alone. Thank you very much for giving me a sense of less imposter syndrome. And I think this is really a useful one here because it does kind of take you down that path of, bringing along the ability to have the patches in there automatically, or whichever version you want to actually have, with it auto-incrementing based on the latest number. So, question, does anyone here use EC2 Image Builder? Excellent, we got a couple. So, Vibe Sense, does this seem like something that would be useful, kind of maybe? Yeah, and this Absolutely, and to just kind of go back over that, so something you mentioned there was that it's really helpful with that sort of Terraform versioning, that you don't need to do it as manually, and that we can have a little bit more iteration there. So no, look, that's fantastic, and that's something I think will really make quite a bit of a difference there. Awesome. Anyone else have any thoughts, queries about this? Because one thing with this is, whilst we're up here as the panelists, we want you to have thoughts too. This is an open discussion. You're all builders who work in AWS. We're not necessarily the ones who know all of it. If you have thoughts about any of these announcements, please do chime out. And we will look at getting some microphones out around as well. So I'll quickly wander over. We might have another thought as well.
Does the auto versioning also update the versioning of the components? Because that could be sometimes a separate thing. No idea.
Yeah, unless the panel do. I don't know exactly whether or not it does the auto versioning for the components. So, yeah. Awesome. In that case, let's have a look at the next one. So for our next one, this is another one for Dale, and this is the, in fact, the provision control plane with Amazon EKS.
Yeah, so I chose this one because I think and anybody here who uses Kubernetes, I think you'll know the difficulty of having to provision enough capacity. So now that you have this ability to provision capacity for your control plane, that just gives you greater flexibility in how you design and scale your application. So maybe not relevant to everyone here, but for those that do use EKS, certainly this here might be something that interests you and could potentially be something that you use in the future. So I chose this one, again, a really simple feature, but I think one that could certainly make life a lot easier.
Yeah, and I mean, in terms of that sort of thing there, of like the API request concurrency, I mean, so I say this as somebody who is aware of Kubernetes, doesn't use it too much in production. Do people generally find that there is a thing with like the control plane getting slower when it comes to doing more operations? I've personally never seen this. I see Matt nodding sagely up the back with his wise man beard. So, I mean, if Matt, you want to share some thoughts, because like I have no idea about this. Like, what's the useful bit with this? Do you see this with like some of your customers in like larger orgs, or what does this tend to look like? Yeah, so a lot of the more enthusiastic orgs rather than just the large orgs.
How aggressively they've decided to start doing the Kubernetes thing. The issue we found, or the issue I found, is once you deploy Kubernetes, the control plane tends to, or the infrastructure running the control plane tends to get a little forgotten, and just sort of sits there in the background and can, slow down over time. And it's not necessarily the first thing that comes to mind, because a lot of your Prometheus and your monitoring tools are focused on the workers and the individual jobs and nodes running in your environment, not so much the actual underlying infrastructure. So it can be a problem that goes undiagnosed, unnoticed for a long time. I don't know how many customers are going to need this, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, and that's probably a really good thing as well, is that it's something that you're probably not going to notice, except for the fact that your devs are just getting angry because Kube is slow.
Think slow.
Yeah. Awesome. Any other thoughts anyone would like to share on this for any of our panelists? Because I know, Tony, do you do much with Kube?
Unfortunately not. So
yeah,
probably can't answer this question.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Christina, I know you do some Kube stuff. Do you ever find anything with like this sort of stuff, or is this, I'm just curious.
Actually, I do. I work with Kubernetes as well. So when I saw this announcement, I'm quite happy. But although I haven't really applied this change to my clients yet, the fact is like my client have a very large scaled application, so need to talk to the API request. Definitely a very good use case for them. And also, of course, with the API request, you also need to be, the network, also need to be in place, all these things. So I think, with because my client is going to be pushed to production soon. So I think this will be one of the key feature. If there is a performance testing gonna be like not enough, will be a good feature for us to consider. Yeah.
I think it's something that kind of comes out of this is generally if you're finding that your customers or your organization is saying Cube is slow, developers hate it, then this is something maybe to explore. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. With that, I think we'll have a talk about the next one. And for the next one, we're going to hand across to Christina for this one. And for this one, we're going to have a look at something actually has a little bit of video attached to it for the IAM autopilot that's now been integrated with all this sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, so I choose this one because actually I got a little project running. I'm actually going to use this one soon. So on this video, we can see basically the Kiro give you give it what we want, and then he will run behind the scene and generate the policy. He think, and generate the policy, and based on the application SDK call.
And so it'll basically look at that code and then figure out what policy you need to run that Lambda function.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this demo is actually you run on local, and the Kiro will figure out based on your application, will analyze and will think, okay, how the functionality will work, and then we'll generate the policy. So it's very straightforward.
Yeah, and I guess one thing that this kind of comes back to is, especially like, if I think about Lambda functions in particular, quite often one thing there is trying to scope the features for them and try and scope the IAM policy, or honestly, something that's made me want to eat my own face recently has been trying to scope out stuff for Terraform, trying to get my Terraform stuff with the right permissions so that it doesn't just come back and say, you forgot to give it the permissions to tag things, and then I want to throw my laptop through a window. So this kind of thing I think is a very nice feature that kind of gives us a piece there to, be able to actually give ourselves much better security and much better like actual scoping of our policies without just saying
Over-permissive.
Over-permissive, yeah, just saying like, just give administrator access because I don't care anymore.
Yeah, exactly, and also save a lot of time. Literally, like today I was running like my clients, they push their application code, already finished all the testing. Literally, I just need to pull their change and use the Kiro. I plan to use this autopilot just to run and then generate the policy. So in that case, the policy will be in place, and it's not going to be over-permissive. In the meantime, it would be enough. So I would say it will save time. In the meantime, your permission is, well reviewed in certain level because it's all from the application, SDK call.
Yeah, awesome. Does this seem like something anyone else would find useful in their roles? I know that IAM is always a bit of a thing there. Jason's got his hand up down the back as well. Does anyone want to share any thoughts on this one as well? So,
especially comparing with IAM Access Analyzer.
True, because I guess that one's kind of reactive, like I've given it the permissions, now I need to refine it, where this one is a bit more, you can be a bit more proactive. I'm deploying this thing, tell me what permissions it would need.
Yeah, but and then the analyzer will analyze, okay, is this what you really need? And is this, do you need more, or, really to kind of like a review, right? Yeah.
So we got a couple of hands up, we'll go around a few.
Sorry, this product, Autopilot, or IAM Policy Autopilot, I was actually just telling Jason here about another product that I'm familiar with, which is an open source project called Pike. And pretty much it's a Golang application where it actually inspects your infrastructure as code, Terraform, and actually can write IAM policies for you as well.
Oh.
Yeah, so if anyone is interested in this realm of things, helping with policy writing, an interesting one to look up is, it's called Pike. I was just looking at it just before.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
and one thing I will say here, we do love tools that aren't necessarily just AWS tools. Like obviously this is an AWS meetup, but AWS isn't going to solve everything for us. So we like talking about other tools as well. And this is how we find them out. Awesome. I guess from everyone's perspective, I'm guessing most of us here would have some exposure to being involved in writing IAM policies. Does this feel like something that would be kind of useful maybe? I mean, for me, it's like absolutely this will be some kind of useful somewhere. Few? Awesome. Yeah, cool.
I think I probably want to ask a question. So this is an MCP server. I find that Kiro, being a first-party AWS coding agent, is already very good at understanding IAM. Would this be unnecessary to use with Kiro, or do you feel like it's for giving this capability to other coding agents?
I'm going to throw this to someone here who's a bit of a Kiro expert and just get his vibes on it, and that's Michael Walmsley, who's here as an AWS serverless hero, who is a fan of all things Kiro, and I'm going to put him on the spot.
I am a fan of all things Kiro. Kiro probably has a reasonable, to be honest, if I go back to the roots of before Kiro, Amazon Q developer, right? You would have thought that those tools would understand AWS technology. My first experience with Amazon Q CLI, developer CLI, I said, build me a CRUD API using serverless, and it gave me the most shittest code that I've ever seen on the planet that I was embarrassed to be in a serverless hero at that moment in time. It's also why I built a PowerTools MCP server to plug into Amazon Q to fix that as soon as it came out, as soon as MCP support came out. So it should, I agree with you, it should understand innately AWS technology, but it doesn't. Because again, we're dealing with LLMs, right? At the end of the day, it's a large language model, which, in my view, has information from 6 to 9 months ago. And this is the power of what MCP brings to the ecosystem. So I think in this example, I think the autopilot is interesting. I'm not so sure I'm a fan of the example here because it's using Lambda. And in my opinion, if you're writing Lambda, you'd be using a tool with ISC that actually already abstracts away a lot of the IAM building for you. But if you think about using all the weird policies you do at times, I've got a customer who wants me to place a file in their S3 bucket from my region to a different region, and they need me to have all these other weird things going on. I think this kind of tool would be really, really useful because IAM is so hard to get wrong.
Yeah.
No, so easy to get wrong. Sorry. So hard to get right.
It's very hard to get right, and it's so easy to fall into, exactly as Christine said, the trap of just being like, just give me star permissions and just go do stuff. I don't want to have to do this anymore. So it's a good one to, probably use from that perspective. Awesome. So that's one there, the IAM policy autopilot. And now there's another one that Christine's going to talk about, and this one is one of the things that is more AI tooling. But this is actually trying to be helpful AI tooling, specifically the AWS security agent.
Yeah, this one also because of my client. I'm very client driven because of consulting work. So this security agent, how many of you have know of this one? Yeah. So have you guys heard of Frontier Agent? Can anyone say what does that mean?
I assume just bleeding edge agent. I actually don't know what frontier agents are. Like Frontier Agent is that something specific?
Are you asking what a Frontier Agent is? Is that
kind of like what does that mean? Like in simple words.
In simple versions, it's an autonomous piece of code that can actually operate without you driving it. So it's not a chat interface. So it actually works independently of any other interface.
Yes.
That's my understanding of a Frontier Agent.
And also very proactively to check. Yeah,
and it's really curious. So just as a bit of an anecdote on this security agent, I've seen some chatter about people using it, and it's so good that when it's trying to do a performance test, it can actually catch itself DDoSing itself, and actually informs you that you're being DDoSed by itself.
Okay, now you motivate me want to do a little bit hands-on at home. So the reason I choose this one, because of my client, right? They are re-architect their application, and then the feature itself really make me very excited, especially the design review with the software architect, and also with the coding review. You can connect with your GitHub repo, and then a lot of apparently a lot of organizations still the guardrails still need to be restricted. Yeah, and apart from that, you also can do the penetration testing. So all the things when I assist my client with the automation process, and then they are reactor their application work, and then all the things are very challenging. But I find especially the time process and the find the people to do this job. So this one, I think at a certain point, will be very good use case for big organization, and then they need people, and then they face these kind of challenges. I think it will be shorten the timeline, especially with the developer work.
I wonder if there's a bit of a thing there as well, and like just from your sense of it, like for organizations that don't have big security teams, does this also become a bit of an easier case as well to actually say we can develop better software?
Yeah, actually, that's one of the good feature of this agent. They have some managed security, what do you call it, rules, policies. Like basically they have some default like monitoring, logging, authentication, authorization kind of this policy. If you don't want to set up your customer rules, or if you don't know how, you can use this like default. Just like the AWS managed rule says, you can use it as a baseline like a functionality to see, as a guardrails. And then as you get a foot in the door and then all things set up, you want to be more restrict, then you can set up your customer rules based on your specific industry requirements, so then you can get it more and more refined. Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole thing of, we will get a microphone over there, but as well as the fact that building that around the organization's requirements as well, rather than just like, does it fit X box because it has X code? Instead, it's something you can tailor to your org, and that's a really powerful thing. We have a question.
Yeah, really interesting stuff actually. So with the penetration testing, so we've got an AWS environment. Are you saying that I can get in there and do automated pen testing? And
yes.
Would that go like survive the scrutiny of like our ISO certification as a proper pen test?
So, yeah. So I actually haven't done that yet, but the way on the reinvent, the way how they demonstrate how they done, basically you have an endpoint, and then it will, because of they have a plan agent, then they use the default rules to basically like they give this text to the endpoint. All the normal how you do your penetration test, then they use this agent to do this work to hit your endpoint. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. And I guess it's one of those things that, as with all things compliance, it's like, does this become compliant? It's like, it depends, and scope. So it's one of those things that could probably help you along the path to it. Would it be a case of, I run this tool, therefore am pen test compliant? Like, that's a bit of a thing, like, yeah.
So when you do the pen test, at the end of it, like your auditor will come in and look and say, where's your pen test? And you go, here's my pen test.
And that's, yeah.
Oh, great. And you can see what it's identified, and we can see how you've, remediated, that sort of thing.
And that would definitely be a conversation, I guess, to have with your auditor as well, is like, would this meet the needs? Maybe not for our crown jewels of like the most critical systems, but maybe it's a case of, look, this application, we do need to keep, it does need to be compliant, but it's not the biggest risk factor. Maybe that's a case for it, and you can convince an auditor of that. Maybe they'd be fine with it going over the crown jewels as well. Or maybe they might say, AI is garbage, we don't trust it at all. Like with all things, it kind of comes back to that assessment. So there's a few bits there.
I just wanted to ask, is this pre-release in preview, or is this GA?
A pre-review.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Only US East one.
I think it should be preview. So going back to pen test, and should you run a pen test with this, it's under preview at the moment, and it really depends on your risk profile of your project, I would say.
True.
I think where I work, we wouldn't use it.
I mean, and also data sovereignty, I suppose there's a part for that as well. Yeah.
I think, to be fair as well, a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about regarding pen testing, that's true of normal pen testing. Like there's a lot of debate as to there's definitely a lot of organisations that use it as a tick and flick. Like, will it get them out of an audit? Do they actually read the pages and pages of report that the pen testers give them? Not always. Do they do it periodically so they can see whether or not they're actually fixing things? I mean, those are criticisms of pen testing normally. So whether or not this is better or the same or worse is, I guess that's up to people to find out themselves and all the rest of it.
I mean, and that's very true, because there is a certain element of some pen tests being a case of, here's $10,000, do a tick and flick, and then we'll just look at the report and say, we'll hand this over to the auditor and be done with it. What about all those risks? We accept that. It's just accepted. Don't worry about it. Oh, okay, cool. So, yeah, I mean, it kind of opened up the, another part of that job automation stuff of like, hey, pen testers are going to be safe. But again, if you're just running Nessus for your job and chucking in a PDF of that and saying like, here's the Nessus findings, good luck. Now AI is going to do your job for you. So, yeah, I think it's really interesting with the security agent.
Yeah, and I would just say on that as well, it is still in preview, so, this is your chance to test things out, give feedback on them, let AWS know the things that are interesting, things that might be lacking. And as you said, being in preview, it's sort of just in US East 1, so, your mileage may vary as to what you can utilise. But yeah, I would also say it's probably would be interesting that you'll have something that you could run more frequently and would have a record of the tests that it did. So, as Stephen was saying, probably for some of those smaller environments, like you could actually do this and like here Auditor, you can see we've run it. Yeah.
Cool. And one more good thing, Stephen just reminds me. So it's in preview, and also it's free to use. So if you want to test out and give some feedback at this moment to test out services and see how good he is and is there any gap, I think this is perfect timing. Yeah.
Wonders of preview services. But of course, that does mean that if you come to rely on it, once you start using it, then it's like, hey, suddenly this thing's going to cost you $1,000 a run. Ooh, okay. So, awesome. Anything further for you, Christina, or are you quite happy to move on with this one?
Yeah, I'm pretty, I'm over this one. Pretty good agent.
Awesome. And I guess one thing here as well is like, as we're talking about the whole thing around agents as well, AWS have kind of been working a little bit more with some of the agentic stuff to see what they can do here. And so in this case, I'll hand across to Tony because we've got another one here, which is specifically the AWS DevOps agent around operations.
Thanks. Yeah, look, this is another frontier agent that was announced at reInvent. It got quite a bit of screen time and airtime in the keynotes. It was in the opening ones and some of the other ones down the track. But basically, this is kind of like a 24/7 on-call engineer that's always listening and always watching and remembers everything about your AWS account, supposedly. It's also in preview, only in US East 1, and is also free. So I wonder how much it's going to cost when it comes out of preview. You can probably have a look at the diagram on the slide. So the gist of it is basically it builds a sort of a topology, a knowledge base of your AWS environment or the AWS accounts that you give it access to. It has a very broad read-only role. There's a managed role for it. Basically, you can read everything, can't write anything at all. I've tried to make it write things. It does not. It gets overridden when it's trying to write things. I tried to get it to write logs, and it was like, no, I'm not allowed to do that. That's writing, which I thought was a bit strange, but whatever. So yeah, that's kind of what it does in the background. So when you query or you ask this agent to investigate an incident, it already has the context and can query these knowledge bases on demand. So this is really great for parsing through thousands of lines of logs. It's really great for just kind of like doing investigations on an event-driven timeline, rather than having to wake up an on-call engineer and then say, hey, go look at 1,000 logs at 3 a.m. in the morning. I don't really like doing that. It's nice to get a machine to do that.
I mean, part of that seems like it would also be the alert fatigue reduction as well, because no one likes waking up at 3 a.m. to, oh, look, that alert again.
Yeah, so I think the value of this kind of shines when you already have some pretty good DevOps hygiene, in that if you just have thousands of alerts blurring all the time, shoving them into the agent is going to, A, cost you a lot of money, and also, B, you're just going to have the same problem, right? And just lots and lots of extra words to go deal with. This can go off and do lots of log analysis, and it can go off and perform a root cause analysis and suggest a remediation. But that's only as good as the humans that go off and see it and critique it and apply the fixes.
Awesome. Mr. Walmsley.
So I do have one question, Tony, if you know. How proactive is it? So I'm just thinking, if you've got a client or a customer that doesn't have good hygiene from a developer perspective, is this tool capable of assessing a maturity level of your output from your applications from an observability perspective?
I can speak from experience from where I've implemented it. And I'd like to say that, or I'd like to think that, the products that we manage have good hygiene. So everything is in infrastructure as code. All of our observability is in CloudWatch. So just by linking it to native AWS accounts, it's been able to actually infer business logic, and it's been able to infer the application program flow based purely off things like DynamoDB table names, Lambda names, step function names. So it knows things talk to SAP, or they integrate with Azure AD or something like that. Or at least it sort of thinks it. I would say that if all your workloads were just running in, say, ECS or EC2 somewhere, Windows servers, it doesn't really have the ability to punch in and figure that stuff out. So it relies very heavily on you having that kind of base level of DevOps hygiene already to get the most out of it.
So Tony, you were saying that this is just basically in a read-only mode. It won't make any changes, it will make suggestions. Did they talk about if that's going to be matured in the future?
I'm not sure yet. It does say on the slide that it resolves, but what it says when it resolves is just gives you a bunch of AWS CLI commands or scripts or something to run. So I think that's what counts as resolution. I don't know. We could probably request it and see if they like it or not. But I did find that the sandboxing is very, very tight. Even after giving it the IAM policy to write to a specific log group, the agent will respond. It's actually, I'm just not really allowed to do that at all because this is a mutative operation.
Yeah, because this is a fundamental issue, right, with the state of DevOps and infrastructure as code, right? Because if we do, let's say, Terraform or CloudFormation, that mechanism is supposed to be in control. If something comes over the top and makes a change, right, which is an auto healing that the infrastructure as code is not aware of, you have drift. It's a big fundamental problem that I've thought about for quite some time, actually. So just interested to see how something like this matures in the space and just see how it all goes. Yeah. Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, and another one there is also the change management aspects as well of, especially in bigger enterprises, how comfortable organization's going to be with, hey, this thing's going to go and troubleshoot problems and just start fixing stuff in production. It's okay, can we do it? Yes. Is our change management going to also try and chop our heads off? Probably. So, yeah, and this is the interesting thing is that, what I find interesting with these frontier agents is that we are getting to that point now where we are moving further and further away from AI just being, here's a chatbot. Do you want another chatbot? We will give you another chatbot. Because guess what? We don't care about chatbots. We have a chatbot, it's ChatGPT. It's mostly fine. Instead, now it's getting towards that point where it's actually being used to solve more business problems and more technical problems a lot more directly.
And one thing with the DevOps agent I've heard is there are plans to expand what it does more. So it says DevOps agent, it's sort of now a bit more of an ops agent. And as it says, it's still in preview. So, but I think it is a great point about the drift. If we're writing code and tools go off and change things, then that can just lead to confusion. So
Lead to chaos.
And I do like the idea that it's it'll suggest fixes but won't actually fix. It'll leave that to the humans that might know where your code is and your pipelines and let you do that.
I think that will bring me to a point that I'll say a little later. But it does say listed here, there are a bunch of connections or integrations with third-party observability, your CI/CD, your source control. So I sort of foresee this getting to a point where you're orchestrating agents and you would eventually have perhaps this agent make PR into the code base. That's probably the safest, most change controllable way to actually manage rights.
Awesome. Fantastic. And we have one more announcement for Tony, and this one's actually one of my favorites, but I won't spoil it. So here it is. Go for it.
Yeah. It's good to go with something really big and heavy and then just something really simple. I like this one a lot. AWS login. Who here uses AWS CLI? Cool. There's now a command called AWS login. So if you update AWS CLI, you can log in with your console credentials. That's really just it. Like it's the sort of thing that has kind of been in most sort of CLI tools forever. AWS hasn't really had this kind of thing. You've had to either have AWS IAM Identity Center set up, do SSO, like federate your IDP, and it's like so many hoops to just be able to have short-term lived credentials. Now you can actually just do this. It opens a browser and you log in with your IAM user or the root user if you're, no, I don't know. Don't do that, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's exactly it. I mean, because from that, like in terms of, if you're using just, a single AWS account, like your personal account, you don't actually have to go and create access keys and then worry about them, like, their validity and, potentially getting breached and everything like that. So yeah, simple quality of life stuff.
I do love this one. But what I don't like is the way that all of the SDKs are lagging behind AWS login, because AWS login has created a new cache and it needs a new update from the core SDK for things like CDK. I'm looking at you, CDK. AWS CDK is way behind on this. But there are mechanisms. You can actually do redirects of your. I should blog about this one. I might blog about this one this week. There's a way of getting around this to make AWS login work for all the CLIs that aren't up to date. Terraform's coming, I believe. That's been raised as a problem, but it's CDK's lagging and everything's lagging. But AWS CLI works, which is cool. I do like it.
I mean, for people who do use the AWS CLI, so I'll get people to put their hands up. How many people here use the AWS CLI? Yep. Now, keep your hand up if you're using the IAM credentials and you're just using like IAM credentials baked in. Okay, there's a few. That's okay. This is something where this does kind of take us down that path of being able to get away from that, because we know it's not the best security practice. But rather than going deeper down, like the rabbit hole, as you say, needing to implement single sign-on, needing to do like, hey, assume role and do kinds of crazy stuff. Just, as you say, it's a simple quality of life thing.
Yeah, I think it's good that AWS is trying to make it easy to do the right thing. And yeah, that's how you get people to do stuff.
Absolutely. Does this sound like, and again, for people here, does this sound like something people would be interested in actually giving a try? Like, is this something that's like, oh, this actually could be useful for us? Yeah? Cool, awesome. Fantastic. Look, that's a couple of the announcements that are here, and the reason we chose these ones are very much because they are the ones that you're not going to see as much from AWS about. Now, there are a lot of other things as well, and I do encourage you, like, there is going to be the link on the screen throughout more of the evening as well for the top announcements as well, if you are interested, which has links also to most of these announcements if you'd like to dive deeper into them. But at the same time, there's also a lot of other stuff as well. So jump forth, be curious, and share things. Walmsley, what are you wanting to talk about?
Is that the top?
Is
that the top AI announcements?
No, it's not just top AI announcements. Weirdly, so AI didn't get as much announcements this year and like as many features. It got a lot of time in the keynote because the investors pay attention to it and they want stock price go up because Amazon employees happy when stock price go up. But when it comes to the announcements, there wasn't quite as much this year as I would think from last year. Like, given how the last few years have been, where it's been very AI heavy, and I kind of put this to the panelists as well. Do you think there was a glut of AI this year? Do you think it was a little bit more reasonable than last year's? Like, what's your take on the AI announcements, the AI-ness of the announcements from this year?
You want to start? Okay, I actually think AI will be more reasonable this year. Like last year, probably just like a start, just blooming, all the things come out. We can do a lot. But then at the end of the day, whatever the technology is a tool. It needs to be apply into the human life. And then where is the use case? In the use case, what's the good part? What's the good outcome? So I actually think, because actually on the side note, I'm transitioning to be an MLE, so a lot of things with AI-related stuff like models or frameworks or the agents, eventually at the end of the day, is to help people, help with the productivity, help with some industry, especially the healthcare. My background used to be healthcare, so there's a gap. Then you want to improve, right? You want to efficiency, all the things. So I actually think as time goes, AI, the people understand AI better, and then the models, getting the research getting better and better, R&D getting better and better, and then they understand the use case get better, and then I think it will be slowly getting more matured. And of course, the ethic level, the governance level, all the things will mature. Yeah.
Awesome. In terms of the announcements, what do you guys think?
I thought it struck a nice balance this year. I think previously, because I did go last year, I felt like the focus was it's almost a little bit stifling. Like if you're not someone who's necessarily working in this field or working with AI, maybe for you there just didn't feel like there was as much on offer. And I think, when people are traveling from everywhere around the world, you want to feel that it is worth your time, it is worth your investment. And so I think they need to be able to cater for all the types of people that may come to such an event. And that, I've got criticisms of reInvent and how they do it. But I think this was an improvement they made this year.
Yeah, I think before going to reInvent, I was pretty meh about it, quite impartial to all the hype. I think about 90% of the sessions, like when you're booking, your sessions for the week, have just AI or some sort of agent or LLM in the name. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to filter all of those out and just book things of the services I actually use. And I think I came out the other end of that just having so much AI thrown in my face and absorbing it through osmosis that I'm actually quite bullish on it now. So I feel like they've convinced me that it is actually at a stage where we can start getting some practical value out of it instead of it just being this mythical godlike being. Or at least that's what I got out of that. Yeah, there was a lot of talk about Kiro or Amazon Q Developer being rebranded. I personally have used that quite a lot recently, to make some games and things, or to do some work. And I find it's come leaps and bounds, probably ever since Anthropic released Claude Opus. So everything's a Claude Code clone now, and jumping on sort of that bandwagon in an enterprise sanctioned or enterprise acceptable way. Amazon probably is onto something here. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm a self-described convert. Yeah, Amazon, they did their number on me.
Yeah, and I think there is something that kind of came up in that as well, is that the fact that using things like Kiro as the example, AWS also aren't waiting to release all the AI announcements at reInvent, because on one thing, yes, AWS reInvent is also for the investors as well, and again, stonk number go up. Talk about AI, stonk number go up, AWS happy, investors happy. But the other side of that is also that they can't really wait to release something like Kiro to GA at reInvent. Instead, I think that came out, and I'm looking to Walmsley here, October. It went to general availability, June. Yeah, so it typically for AWS. So
June GA, October usable.
October usable, yeah. So in terms of that sort of thing, normally for that sort of thing, you'd expect, if AWS have finished building a feature in September, October or something like that, they're going to hold off the announcement until reInvent, because again, big announcements, big impact on stock price, because look at all the innovation that we're doing. With AI, they're now trickling it out a bit more because they know you have to get out to market fast. So that's a bit of a change of pace there as well, which is also nice because again, you do get more mature announcements at reInvent, not just here's the new stuff. Here's how we're actually using it because we have used it. But also it's not quite just a face blast of AI at the event itself. But thinking about this, as we're going deeper into that conversation, obviously going to reInvent, both Dale and Tony touched on this, it's a bit of a journey, because has anyone here been to Las Vegas or thing? I'm seeing most of the people who've been to reInvent as well. So go figure. So obviously it's a bit of a journey to go all the way to reInvent. All three of our panelists have a slightly different story and a bit of a different tilt to it. So I've also asked them to share their stories for it as well, with a bit of an idea of also sharing some of their experiences, what they did at reInvent that made it valuable to them, and also giving you a bit of a call to action to think, maybe I want to try and convince my boss to send me to Vegas at the end of this year, which is tricky, so please accept their tips. With that in mind, first of all, I'll pass to Dale. who's also got a fair few pictures as well to kind of demonstrate a few bits of this.
I look like a complete narcissist because I've got myself in every photo.
To be fair, you didn't take them all.
That was not intentional. So yeah, I thought to include some, because for me this is the thing I went to Vegas for. This is why I went to reInvent. The reality is that pretty much every session at reInvent is streamed live. Most are recorded, most are streamed live. So going there just to see sessions, I think, is a bit pointless, my opinion. The real value comes from meeting people and being able to engage with the wider community. So on screen, I've got photos of all the people I met throughout reInvent, people from everywhere around the world, many people from, in the middle there, people from the Community Builders program, at the bottom, people from the All Builders Welcome program that Christina and I were part of. And also was very fortunate this time to actually speak at reInvent. I delivered 2 talks.
Three.
Yeah, so for me it was an amazing experience, and I don't have enough time to go through all the things that I did over there, but yeah, certainly happy to, if anyone has any specific questions about the event, very happy to answer those.
I'm curious about one thing, and so specifically the fact of going as a speaker to reInvent as well. Obviously, reInvent this year I had somewhere between, I can't remember the exact number. Usually reInvent gets usually between 40 to 60,000 people. It is the largest cloud computing conference in the world. And you had a chance to speak there, not just once, but several times. Obviously, you know, that must have been quite an experience. Going from last year where you attended as an attendee to attending this year as a speaker, you know, what was that experience like? And on top of that, if someone did have the passion to speak at reInvent, like to get the big world stage, what would that feel, like, what would you advise those people to do?
So the experience was completely surreal, like actually being there on stage, getting the invitation, because it is quite competitive. You do have to submit months in advance. It goes through a review process. And in my case, as Stephen said, I spoke 3 times. So actually being able to, it was just such an honour to do it, to say that you've done it. So yeah, very nerve-wracking, but certainly worth doing if you get the chance. It means that you get to meet lots of new people afterwards. You get to be more involved in the community. The way that I got the opportunity was through the Community Builder program. So each year the Community Builders program puts out a call for papers or call for presentations, and I submitted a number of them thinking that I had no chance, and then all of a sudden I was on stage. So if you are interested, I would either suggest to join the Community Builders program or to through the Partners program.
Yeah, so if you're also an AWS customer, or if you work for an AWS partner, also talking to your partner SAs, your customer SAs, that sort of thing. Amazonians also try and get to speak at reInvent as well, because obviously it's a really exciting thing. It's also really hard for Amazonians to speak at the event, but if you've got a particular use case that you've had in your organization, either as a partner or as a customer, reach out to your partner solutions architect or your customer solutions architect within AWS and say, I have a talk that I think would be really interesting for us to give at reInvent, because chances are they will try and grab onto that. I will say, if you think that's something you'd like to do, particularly from that avenue, start that conversation now, because those talks will be locked in by June. It is a very, very long cycle, but also incredibly worth it. So that's really cool. Awesome. And so, I mean, there's like a lot there with the different pictures and stuff, and there's many, many stories between all of those. I think one thing that you didn't touch on, which I'm going to get Christina to touch on, is also how you both got there as well, through the All Builders Welcome Grant as well. So with that, I'll pass this over to Christina, but on top of this, you've also got some pictures as well, so I'll let you talk to this, but also the All Builders Welcome as well.
Yeah, my picture is I got a lot of photos, but I feel like this too is very, I really like it. So the on the top one, on the left one, is in the reInvent. There's a AWS certified. It's kind of like lounge. So you meet all the people, have the certifications and talk, and yeah. So I happen meet most of the people have the golden jacket.
What is the golden jacket?
Does people heard of a golden jacket?
There's a few golden jackets. There's another golden jacket down the back.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so golden jacket is it's kind of like a milestone when you achieve all AWS certifications and at the same time all active. So yeah, I was very lucky last probably March. I got all of them. I feel very excited, and then it's such an achievement and like a lot of late nights, early mornings. Yeah, it's hard work, but also it's such big satisfaction as well. And also you meet different people, you know. Yeah, I met a couple of the people in the picture already online, and it's such a great joy when I see them in person. The second picture is the pre-reInvent. So before reInvent on the 30th November, there is a pre-reInvent hike. Anyone can join, but of course, you know, first come, first serve. So I meet a lot of people. I'm also a very people person. I like to listen to their story. It's so good from all over the world. And yeah, it's Red Rock, Kenya. It's also a great view. We were joking about it. You know, the whole reInvent is inside. And then before reInvent, we got some nature, and then so that all the oxygen, you know, you can consume in the indoors. It's kind of like, yeah.
The one constant being all the walking and sore feet.
Yeah. Yeah, so come back to the program. Me and Dale, we are so very grateful. The program called All Builders Welcome. Have you guys heard of this one?
Ooh, it looks like we got some educating to do. Christina,
Yeah.
what is this program and who can apply and when can they apply?
So mainly for the career, when you are in the first 5 years of the career journey, and also you're passionate with technology, I would just say general technology. If you consider you're a builder, I would say, yeah. And the benefits, I think there is some like financial part of benefit, like they cover your flights, accommodations, give you some Uber coupon. But the most amazing part, I think, priceless is meet the people. Like really like, AWS really put some efforts on this. Like it's not for ads for them. It's really like in the reInvent section, you will have your own portal. They even created this All Builders Welcome section just for you as an attendee. So they have the networking, career interview, tech dive, this different session based on what you want, and then you can attend. Then they will have the round table and have some AWS people then guide you through. It's like that opportunity really, I think I enjoyed a lot, yeah.
And I think to that point, like for the opportunity to go, if you're in your first 5 years of your tech career, to be able to go to reInvent, have AWS pay for your registration, your flights, your hotel, like that is very, very worthwhile.
Everything's covered. Food, spending money, Uber, everything's covered. So I would very much encourage anyone within roughly the first 5 years of your career, if you are eligible, around June, you want to be looking at the application process. Now, I've done the program 4 times, so I've done it quite a few times.
The only person in the world I know
I was very fortunate. I actually got to do it twice to Reinforce, which is AWS Securities Conference in Philadelphia. So they sent me there twice, and then they sent me to reInvent twice. So I've had 4 all-expense-paid trips, thanks to Uncle Jeff, who we love very much. And
thank you, Uncle Jeffrey.
Yes, we do. And then so yes, if anyone's got any questions about the program or the application process, please feel free to come up to either myself or Christina afterwards, and we can give you some more information about that.
And I will say, just like one of the pictures on the last slide as well, the one in the top left corner, that was you speaking as one of the mentors at the All Builders Welcome Reception dinner as well. Specifically because you were there for the last 2 times, for both Reinforce and reInvent, there as a mentor as well. So because you also, on top of, you know, obviously working, you know, and getting to meet a lot of different AWS staff and community members, but also people who've been on that journey of the All Builders Welcome program before.
Yeah, it's very much it's almost like a family. You meet people and you see them time and time again at these AWS events, and it's really hard to put into words just how grateful I am, and probably Christina, the fact that, you know, we got flown halfway around the world to attend a conference that, you know, we couldn't afford to attend ourselves. So, you know, it's like winning the golden ticket, really. And so very much anyone who's eligible would and to continue to apply as well. So even if you get rejected the first time, don't be discouraged. I got rejected the first time, and then
First two times,
and then the 4 times after that I was accepted. So continue to try, and you may end up there next year.
Awesome. And so part of that, as well, as I will say on top of that, if you know anyone in the first 5 years of their tech career, especially if you've got like interns or graduates going through your organization, encourage them as well. Like, this is something that makes a huge difference. Like, we as, you know, people, like for myself, I've been in the industry 15 years. I consider I have a responsibility to try and get people to go and do this. Like, they should do this, and we should be the ones sharing the word. So even if you're not eligible, I put it on you. Please do share that word, especially as this stuff starts coming out. You'll see this coming out, especially on like LinkedIn and things like that, and you'll hear about it at the user group later this year as well. So with that, I mean, obviously that's quite a bit there as well, but also, you know, for Tony, you obviously had a bit of an event as well. And, you know, obviously your first re:Invent, you went there for work, and you wanted one particular picture. And so I'll put it up on screen, but I'll let you talk to what this means.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess switching tone a little bit. I got sent to re:Invent through the company. So the CTO of Versant, he paid for a trip for about a dozen people in the company, Jason included. Thank you, Tim. So yeah, like, you know, there are many avenues and pathways of getting there. Money can send you places if you want to cough up yourself out of your own pocket, but I can't afford that either. So I'm very, very grateful for that. Yeah, look, I'm not super big on photos of myself, but I want to include a photo of Werner. So this is from the closing keynote, and this I think is actually a eureka moment that sort of made the whole AI thing stick to my brain. I don't know how much marketing or, you know, subliminal messaging there was over the course of the week that made this finally just be like, oh, hey, we're actually here. And, you know, he did a very nice sort of high production value Back to the Future-esque talk. Watch it on YouTube if you can. I don't know, do we have a link to that? Maybe not.
We can get a link to that.
We can get a link to that out, cool. But yeah, the key thing here is that regarding AI, he's very candid, and it's like, will it take your job? Maybe. And I guess the maybe is, you know, if your job depends purely on just being inefficient, then maybe, yeah. But is it going to make you obsolete? Probably not. Like, if you can adapt and you can use the tools to make your like engineering better, then it's not going to make you obsolete. And the thing is, yeah, it's not some other magical being. You're not, you know, communicating with the devil to go off and, yeah, like make a deal and sell your soul. If you own the work and you're accountable for it, you get to take credit for it, and are also responsible if something does go wrong. So use that information wisely.
Definitely. And I guess for the keynote, so in terms of the event, there are, you know, several different keynotes from senior AWS executives like the CEO, and of course Werner Vogel's the CTO of Amazon.com, one of the best speakers who I wish I had a 10th of his charisma. He is amazing. Tony, for yourself, were you there in the room for the event, or were you actually watching it on a live stream? I
managed to get in. There's usually like a line for a few hours, but
a few hours?
Yeah, sometimes. I did get the luxury of taking home some souvenirs. Where is it? Yeah, everybody on the seats, they get this newspaper. Yeah, it's the messaging. It says it's the headline is the dawn of the Renaissance developer. And it's got a dude, you know, Vitruvian man, just holding, yep, thank you. And yeah, basically, the whole theme of the talk is like we're in, you know, the rebirth of the whole engineering industry, development industry. So you've got to have a rebirth as well. Yeah, I've read through a lot of it. Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of AI marketing. I will say that. But it does have some pretty good, like, you know, tidbits in there about how you have to just keep up to date with the times. the times, and yeah, the kernel. So I think it works on many levels.
Awesome. And I mean, that's something for you. Like, I mean, I'm guessing you would have watched, like different reInvent talks and stuff like that before on a video. Was it different being there in person, like in the room for that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I think it was, because for most of the other keynotes that I attended, they basically fill up the main auditorium and then they like live stream it into all of the other auditoriums in the other venues. Like reInvent's like, really, really big. It's in like 5 different casinos. And so sort of watching it in like silent disco style, where you put headphones on and look at a screen, is not really the same as like being inside the room. And yeah, I don't really know. There's not really a way I can describe it besides you need to be there.
Yeah, and I guess it's something that, kind of putting to that point as well, the whole point of being there, the difficulty that it takes to get there because it is expensive. In terms of that, like if you were to give people some advice on like, hey, I want to ask my boss, like you obviously managed to ask your big boss, they managed to send you, would you encourage people to say, A, is it worth it? And B, what would you give as a hint for that?
Look, like I want to be candid about it. It comes down to money. If you can say that this is going to make shareholder value or stakeholder value or whatever, yeah, your company's probably going to be a bit more receptive to that. I had sort of the other lucky thing about my customer, my client, actually also going to reInvent, and so that's kind of a two-birds situation, which I think helped my case.
Yeah, like take advantage of anything you can get and come with numbers, not just, I want to go to Vegas because Vegas would be cool and I want work to send me. I don't think that's going to get you very far, is it? Awesome. And I guess thinking about that as well, like, in terms of, the things that you guys took away that was particularly valuable, particularly memorable, was there something this reInvent that you went away with? And like, I think, Tony, you kind of gave a bit of an allusion to something that made, reInvent stick for you. But for each of you, was there something you took away as being the moment of just like, damn, this was what this was all about?
Yeah, I can go again. So it really was kind of that moment that like AI is actually here. And strangely enough, the best talk I went to at reInvent wasn't Amazon related at all. It was by GitHub. And it's GitHub, it was essentially a talk about GitHub Copilot and where they sort of see the future of agentic development going. And GitHub, in their way, they see like everything becoming commoditized. Like we're not going to care so much next year about which model is slightly better at the benchmark. You should be able to just swap in and out. And so you're sort of getting and evolving to the point of having agents be your peers. You can have AI be next to you and do work with you. And eventually you're going to hit a point where you need to orchestrate fleets of agents and everyone gets to be an engineering manager and, manage a dozen junior devs or something simultaneously. Like that's kind of where the industry is headed, or at least that's what I got out of it.
It's that beautiful thing. We're all heading to be engineering managers and project managers. The thing that we all tried to avoid. Awesome. Christina, Dale, anything for you that was just like a moment that was particularly like a standout for you at reInvent?
I don't know if there was necessarily a moment. It was more so just the atmosphere, the fact that I came away feeling a lot more energized and a lot more excited about technology. I think last year I was starting to waver a little bit in my career and, started to wonder where exactly I was heading and, just in that kind of space where you've started to plateau and actually going there and meeting with other engineers and talking to people and seeing the things that they're doing. And I'll be honest, I didn't go to a lot of talks. I was in Buddy V's eating. That took priority. But that was fine. I came away feeling a lot more energized and a lot more, I guess, determined to learn things on my own and taking that from the experience and then applying that to my career now, I think is what I've taken from it. So not one thing in particular, more so just the motivation that comes from being around other highly motivated individuals.
Definitely.
Yeah, for me, actually, share very similar thoughts as Dale. But the thing different from me because probably actually transitioned my career from other industry into tech. So this event actually makes me very sure, the right career path. Imagine like you do one thing for 15 years, like that's my previous job. And then you sort of started to reflect yourself, do I want to do the same thing or similar thing for the next 30 years, right? And then with the tech, this community, these things evolve, the community, the people, really makes you feel like, okay, I'm in the right community. The reason I keep saying community is really, it's a community driven, like the tech, all these, open source, the people, it's really community driven industry. So I know I'm in the right industry. This is one thing. And then I also went to the closed keynotes of our winners. It's like building the things you are proud of. It's like really like resonate with me. Like we enjoy the things we build. We interact with the people we building together. It's that kind of feeling like really make me feel like wow. So wow, yeah, that explains everything. So 108%, yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like there's a bit of a mix of those things that you take away that were, personal moments, but also things that were just like suddenly that click of something technical. And I guess if we think about that, would you say that you learned more in the sessions, in terms of your professional knowledge? Would you say you learned more in the sessions sitting in the room or from like the hallway track, which is just when you're talking to people, just generally around about? Like, where did you find that you got more learning from? And there's no right answer to this either.
I think it's circumstantial. I think atmospheric really plays into it, and just kind of the caliber of the talks, the content, and also the audience too, right? So you can sort of hear the murmurs and the whispers. They're just like, I don't get this AI thing. Like, what does this mean to me? And the other times you'd be like, oh, actually that's really cool. I could use this here, right? You get that kind of general sort of sentiment from your peers or people in the same industry as you. And that's something that you can't really get from the other side of a screen. You can't get that from watching a YouTube recording or anything. So yeah.
Yeah, I concur. I think actually having those conversations with other people, it's really, as large as reInvent is, there's always an opportunity to meet someone new. You can sit down and strike up a conversation with someone. And as was said earlier, people are from every industry. They're from every part of the globe. So you're constantly learning about other people's journeys in tech and what they've done and things that they've learnt. And I think that it's inspirational, but also too, it enables you to then learn from not just the technical skills that they've gained, but also to the decisions they've made throughout their career. And being able to look at someone and say, okay, they've got the career that I want, or they're doing the sort of work that I want to be doing. You can start to, I guess, map out your own journey from seeing that yourself, and you can sort of look at how it is that you can hopefully emulate that when you go back at the end of the conference. So, sorry, this is a very long-winded answer.
Yeah, I'm actually same, very similar to Dale. Like you talk to a lot of people, especially one of the entrepreneur, he built several startups, and then and then all these the why, ask a lot of why, right? And then he shared it with his life journey and his family, and then it's just makes sense. It's like his childhood, his adult, and make him make this decision. But then in the meantime, his mindset, it's really like you are listen to his journey, but you also feel like you are bystander for his journey, but then you also feel like for all my journey, your own journey, you reflect on that. Okay, the courage, in the certain intersection point was hard, but then how did he get through? Of course, 3 hours talk or 2 hours, talk doesn't cover his whole life, but then it's just a very impressive, very strong resonation, yeah.
Awesome. And so with that in mind, I do want to say one thing as well is that you can look at the sessions online. If you do see things that you might want to actually understand or, find out things from different sessions, These sessions are available online through YouTube, so you can have a look at those, including Dale's talks. They're up in there. So in terms of this, though, I guess we are coming up to the end of our time together. I will ask each of our panelists for one final thought. What's the one thought you'd like people to take away
Do we
from
have
this?
time for audience questions? I don't think we've given them.
We've already
enough
done a bit of like the audience discussion
Oh,
bits, so yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if anyone has any final
Yeah,
thoughts, I can
yeah,
also
any
open
questions?
to that.
Nope. All right.
Cool. Yes, final thoughts. Go for it.
Final thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have one. Yeah, look, like the AI stuff is here. It's here to stay, whether you like it or not. That's kind of my takeaway. And you may as well, like, jump on the bandwagon instead of being in denial about it. That's sort of the most brutal thing I can think of to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I would probably just encourage you to, if you do get the opportunity to go to a conference, it doesn't necessarily have to be reInvent. It can be, I'm going to do a plug for Community Day. It can be Community Day coming up on the 15th of October. But any conference, I would very much encourage you to go to that and to actually to expose yourself to what it is that other people are doing, to meet others, to put yourself out there and maybe even deliver a talk if you can. I think just going through that, I think you do gain a lot from the experience. So I would very much encourage you to, even if it's not reInvent, whatever it is, just take the opportunity if it's presented to you.
For me, probably build and share. Yeah, I find that's the whole, like, for me, it's really the joy, the inspiration, the community. Yes, come back to community, yeah. Build and share. Share in the meetup events, share with your colleagues, share with, on the LinkedIn, Medium blogging or other, platform.
Excellent. Thank you very much to our panelists for their time. We very much appreciate them, don't we? All right, with that, we are coming up to the very final bits of our meetup. So, one thing that we do at the end of this meetup, just as we wrap up, is we also want to do a bit of talk about the marketplace. So, just asking the question, is anyone's company hiring at the moment? We don't necessarily want to ask people if they're looking for a job because your boss might be in the room or watching up on the live stream, and that could be awkward. So, is anyone's company hiring at the moment? If so, we'll send out a microphone around. We have one up the back.
All right, so Mantel Group currently hiring for, ML, AI, cloud, both the AWS one and the other ones. Data, we're currently looking for software developers, transformation specialists, and business consultants. So if you're interested, come and have a chat to me or have a look at the Mantel Group website there on the careers page.
Excellent. And Mantel Group is a fantastic sponsor as well, so that's an important part. And I'll just say for my own workplace as well, we're currently looking for a principal level full stack engineer, software engineer. If you're interested in learning more about that, full stack AI software engineer, then please do let me know as well. If we have nothing further, going once, going twice. There we go. Look, thank you very much to everyone for coming. Again, want to say thank you to our fantastic sponsors, both Mantel Group and Civo, for making tonight happen.
And NAB.
And NAB, also as our event sponsor, our venue sponsor. Again, thank you to our fantastic speakers for their time and also the time they've put into all of this. Thank you to all of you here and also up on the live stream. We appreciate your time. Now, one of the most important things we can do here as we leave is thank you very much to NAB. We want to keep the venue clean. And thank you very much to Mantel and Civo. They provide the money for the food. So any of the food or drinks that are remaining up the back, please do take it because we want to make sure that that will all go. Plus, if you have any
chopsticks.
if you'd like chopsticks, definitely by all means. With that, thank you very much. We will be back next month for the final Wednesday of the month. We hope to see you there. Thank you very much.